Hi, everybody. Welcome back to our channel, our show. This is Making Light Two Humans Being. I'm Julie Heert. With me, as always, is Kate Fogel. You might be noticing something a little bit different about her, and we will talk to that in just a second. This show, both Kate and I are intuitive. We're both soul-level intuitive coaches, soul-level animal communicators. And with all of the intuitive work that we've done in the last several years, we work to understand that in relation to being human. Human can get in the way and vice versa. And so we just kind of talk through all of that and how are we two humans being and at the same time making light. So anyway, today Kate and I just started talking and we just because lots of little things are going on. And the first thing we were talking about is the makeup, the way that Kate's face looks right now.
You know, he said fake up.
Fake up. Oh, did I?
Mm.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So now, bearing in mind, I can't really see. You see, it doesn't look anything like this in the. So, as you know, I'm a huge Drag Race fan, and
RuPaul. For those who don't know the show, it's RuPaul. Yeah.
And I have actually I subscribe to. It's now only the new stuff is only available on. It's called Wow Presents Plus, which is I don't know if it's exclusively LGBTQW whatever plus, or whether I don't know if it's exclusively that, but it's got all the RuPaul stuff, and it's about £6 a month or something, and I subscribed to it when Gary was away before and just like binge watched it. It's a bit awkward because I have to like cast it to the TV and everything. And I thought, fuck it, I'm just going to keep buying it because I've watched the US series 15 or 16 of them. I've watched them all about 4 times. I mean, I just watch it in a loop, and I've watched all the UK ones. And on Wow Presents Plus there's Canada, which I've watched, and then there was France and Spain. And you know, it's funny because when I first started, anyway,
hey, can I ask, is RuPaul in all the iterations or just
no, so he's in all the English speaking, interestingly. So he did Australia. Well, it's called Down Under, which is Australia, New Zealand. He does the UK one. He does the US one. Then Canada was done by one of the, I don't know if it was a finalist, but somebody who's been in the US series. And I'm just watching now the Belgian one, which is actually being done by, interestingly, one of the Canadian queens who was in the Canada one. Because they're French speaking, and I'm watching a Swiss one, the French one, and the Spanish one are hosted by local drag celebrities, and it's funny watching the different cultures and how they do it. And now I've discovered there's a Swiss, well, Sverige, which I think is Sweden, isn't it? They've just started that one, but sorry, I will stop. I just love it so much. Belgium.
Wait, why do you love it? Talk about a minute why you love it.
Oh, because
you love it. Like that's what yeah.
Because it has everything. What's not to love? So there's something. I love flamboyant people. I love it, and I actually love all the drama, the woo and the scream. I remember switching on probably before I knew what it was, and they were all screaming in the workroom, and you're like, oh fuck, what is this rubbish? But that's Gary talking. Kate's like, wow, what's going on? But you know, I've sort of. Now that I'm getting to know what I want, it's like, no, I fucking love that. There were these girls at school, Julie. When I was at school in Kenya, and we stayed in this hostel. So it wasn't like a boarding school, it was like a boarding hostel, which was a bit primitive, to be honest, but it was fine. They fed us. And we had dormitories and that. And my friend Jenna from Windsor, if you're ever there, Jenny, hi. Her cousin was Kavi, and Kavi was like a big deal. I don't really understand why, but she was just a big deal. And because, you know, so Jenny was in with the cool gangs. I mean, they were a couple of years older than us, maybe 2 or 3 years older than us, but Kavi was part of the cool gang. And Kavi's friend, she was friends with Doris Moy, who was actually the president of Kenya's daughter. I went to school with, you know, big, I want to say big knobs, but they weren't really knobs. Doris Moy was President Moy's daughter. And we also had Jimmy Akena, was the ex-Tanzanian's president's son, and his cousin. Anyway, so they were the cool people, and Kavi and her friends were just like I suppose what I'd call big mamas, in that they did like Girlfriend long before I'd ever seen it on television in the States. It was a pure African thing, which I think is where it came from. I don't know, but that's sort of, you know, Girlfriend, and they would, I mean, I could just sit, I just loved it. I just fucking loved these women because they were so big, and I mean big by characters. They were so colourful and so present and so fucking funny. You know, everything was just funny. It was all about, you know, don't you talk to me like, you know, and it was strong women. Sorry, that's where it comes from. So I just love that persona, that don't you fucking mess with me, I'm going to be who I am and just love myself for who I am. And it's everything I would really want to be. And I think that's what drag personifies. It's about taking that alter ego, if you like, but sorry, I'm rambling, but that's why. And then but there's the really gentle side of it as well. I didn't really understand, you know, you think you're really open-minded and tolerant, and I did think I was really open-minded and tolerant, but you know, there is a bit of it going on, for fuck's sake, children changing their sexual identity every 20 minutes, like who's got time for this? But when I watch it and you're meeting people one-on-one essentially and realizing where they're coming from, makes me well up right now to see how many people suffer because they're not accepted, and the and things that we go, oh, well, what does it fucking matter? Well, it does matter, because if it matters to them, it matters. Just because you don't understand it. So this is a bit like your passion about I want to say white supremacy, not that, but
about talking about racism and get to get it in the open kind
you know,
of thing.
and
No,
you're the
not
one
white
says,
supremacy.
no, but what did you call it? The white privilege.
Yes, thank you. Oh yeah, okay.
But it's like, just because you'd sort of said to me, just because you don't perceive there's an issue, because I was all sort of defensive about, well, I haven't fucking done anything, don't blame me, you know, just because I'm don't understand there's a problem doesn't mean there's not a problem.
Right.
That's you know, and it's just been eye-opening in that sense. But above all, there's so little entertainment, Julie, that is genuinely about people helping each other and having fun. Okay, it's a competition, but they're actually all pulling in the same direction. They're so supportive. But there's more than that. There's this it's like they call each other bitch and girlfriend, and it's like there's no insult, because if you call yourself a fucking great beautiful cunt, nobody else can. You know, it's just, and I love the fact they use foul language, but they make it beautiful. Because her whole, like RuPaul, I never know to call her or he, but because in drag or out of drag, he talks about your, you know, your charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent, which is your cunt, and he's like, your pussy's on fire. Now this is language I would not have liked before.
Oh, I've never heard that before.
No, I mean, it's just so out there, and you're just like, oh fuck it, man. When they do any challenge, it's like, good luck and don't fuck it up. I have never heard that on mainstream TV. This series was put together with Kate in mind, I would have to say. It was created entirely for me, and there's enough to probably keep me going for the rest of my lifetime, because I imagine it will go worldwide, because I've noticed now there's one in the Philippines and Thailand and all these, you know. So that's it. It's just, and also just the incredible talent of the costumes they create, the backlog behind it, the stories that they've all gone through. I just love it. Right, you'll have to shut me up because this could go on all day.
I was just gonna say, now we'll talk about the makeup. Yeah.
Right. So I was thought, you know, I'd really like to sort of try. I mean, I'd love drag queen makeup, but I bought some makeup because I've stopped wearing makeup. I wear blusher occasionally, and I've even stopped with mascara because I actually think I look better without it. And then I went and bought all this. But the problem is, Julie, unfortunately, I am now at an age, because it's probably been a couple of years before I tried to put on any sort of eye makeup other than mascara. I'd probably take my eye out now. I can't actually see to put it on without glasses. So I now understand why women walk around looking like that someone's just gone like that. It's because so I have had to order glasses from eBay, which you either have ones where they're magnifying, one the lenses comes down so you can do this side while looking through this side. Mine's very clever. It's got a lens here, and then you can swing the lens to that side, because I can't actually fucking see anything. So that's a sign. So it did not look anything like this white. So it's unfinished, and I haven't got my glasses.
Well, take your glasses off and let's admire it for a little bit, because what I thought was so, okay, yeah, see, without the glasses, like the white really works, like, because it really makes your eyes big. And when you put the glasses
but
on,
I
it just
should have,
accentuates that there's a white line there.
yeah, so I should have something underneath there, but I can't do that without my glasses. I also, as I
Oh,
said,
I
I've
see.
got,
So wait, is the white actually like on the lid? On the lid?
oh, and do you know what that's called? See what you learn
Yeah.
when you Google fucking eyeliner. Um, it's called the waterline, unless I've got this completely wrong. So you can get the liquid eyeliners that you put on the outside. I've got them as well. And then this is like a pencil eyeliner, but it has to be suitable for the waterliner. I'm assuming that's the inside. That's because I
Where
saw
the
them refer
glands
to
are.
waterline.
Yeah. Where your glands are to your ducts, your tear ducts in there.
Yes. So
Yeah.
that actual inner lid.
Yeah.
And
So
as that side's much whiter, is it? So reading the reviews, and someone had said white eyeliner on the waterline essential for anyone over the age of 25. And I thought, actually, they're right, aren't they? Because it really brightens your eyes. So I apologize, it's only half done, but hey, it's a work in progress. And when I get my glasses, we'll try again. I mean, I love like drag queen eyelashes. I would like nothing better than a day in drag, and I've tried to find somewhere. You can do it in London, you can probably do it in Edinburgh, but I haven't really found anywhere that really appeals. As in to do a day where you get to dress up and just be that girlfriend, because I think I'd be really good at it.
I think you'd be fantastic at it.
So,
Yeah.
so that's what that's about. It's distracting.
I love it.
I have to turn my self view off, so because all I can see is this one's really white.
Oh my gosh. So there's so much. So you were talking about the whole way that it felt. And there were all these little, like, my guides are like pulling all these little threads of like ping, 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 ping. Like, don't fuck this up. Like my mom tells a story as she continues, and we're trying to understand what if it is dementia, I'm sure of it, but she's got to get diagnosed anyways. But that's one of the stories that she tells all the time about my grandfather telling her with my dad when she met my dad the first time, not to fuck this up, but I've never heard I hate this. I hate the C word. I can't even say it. I hate it. But the acronym of what it stands for, can you say it again? Because that makes it.
Charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, like when they when they do the wrong way, they'll do all these little, I didn't like them at first, snide comments. The judges will make all these snide comments. But actually now I think it's hilarious, and it's sort of like, oh, your pussy's on fire, and what they mean by that is you're looking fishy, and that's another word. Like fishy is something that most women would absolutely like,
Yeah.
but this is what I love about it. It's like they take all those things that could be the worst insult in the world, they make it everyday vocabulary. It can't hurt anybody, and it just empowers you, because you can do no wrong. There's nothing that can criticize. You know, if you're calling yourself the big powerful cunt and your pussy's on fire, you know, how can anybody turn that around? They can't, because you've gone, yeah, I am. Bring it on.
Yeah.
That's what I love about it. And it's just watching people. I realize you've got me all excited.
Oh.
I was watching this. I was watching first time I was watching Drag Race, and then I was watching the Great Pottery Throwdown, which is one of these competitions, which again, really supportive, because it's different when you see competitions where people, and I'm sure the baking competitions are the same, but like the practical ones, as opposed to The Apprentice, where everybody's cutting each other down, which I won't watch anything like that. I have absolutely zero interest in it. Yeah. But in the pottery ones, so it's the same thing. They do 10 weeks, and the way that the people evolve in the time that they're there astonished me. And I don't know if I meant to write a blog on it, and I never did, so I didn't actually really go into it. But it's like, why do people improve under that scrutiny? Because in a way, being scrutinized and critiqued, and that could actually be a bad thing. But I think it's because it's such a supportive environment that people push the boundaries of what they can do, and that other people's focus on them is now what I think is a law of attraction thing there, because other people are saying, well, you know, do this now, and you're like, and you're pushing yourself to do something outside your comfort zone, that they all grow and blossom into, and the progress, if you can call it that, but like the skills they exhibit and the things that they achieve in that lifetime, in that time, is something they would never have done on their own in their entire lifetimes. And it's just amazing. I get so inspired by stuff like this, watching how people grow and push, and then push their own boundaries, and then explore more, and all of that. It's just, I just find it amazing. Even Gary's watching the pottery throwdown now, because you've never watched stuff like that, but it's supportive, Julie. It's so nice to see people being nice
Yeah.
as well as be interesting and creatively absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Blows
I'm
me
with you on the
away.
competition shows. The Great British Bake Off is one of my favorites. I haven't watched it in a long time, but it was so supported. And if somebody's thing didn't go well, like you just don't get like voted off the island. I mean, to some degree, you might not come back the next episode, but it was always done with caring and compassion. And because they were creating and they were using it, doing it from their heart, like, I don't know. I like those shows much better than like the one that comes to mind that I don't particularly care for and I don't watch a lot of this stuff, but like Gordon Ramsay, I think, because he would just like yell at people. And I'm like, there's no sense to yell at people.
He has changed. I mean, he
Yes,
now does well, he does he's done it in the States actually, where they do Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares or something like that, where he'll go
yeah.
into hotels and kitchens, and it may start off as a lot of shouting, but actually his whole approach is now changing to be, let's get to the root of what's going on here and empowering people to make different choices, which, but there is still that element of sort of confrontation, but it is interesting that nearly a lot of these shows are actually now looking at, well, why are you behaving this way? What's behind this? What can we do? And a more collaborative approach to fixing it. Not always. Sometimes it's just like, my way or the highway. But
Yeah. My favorite show is Queer Eye. I'm Googling almost daily about when the next season drops because I follow all of them on Instagram. And JVN is I use his shampoo. I love him. And I love Tan Free. I love them all. I love everything. Anyway.
The one with long hair. Is he the long hair and a beard?
JVN, yeah. Yeah. And he even has his own podcast, Getting Curious, and he's got a show on Netflix with Getting Curious. And he actually had a dietitian on Getting Curious that then talked about why we eat what we eat. And he loves sugar. He was really, and he's a gymnast too. And so he was putting on a lot of weight, but he wasn't happy, but he, shares all this. And it was just, I don't know. And then he deals with this nutritionist and then he realizes all the reasons why. And now he's lost a ton of weight and he looks really good. And he's able to actually do more gymnastics and ice skating. He likes to ice skate. Anyway, I'm Googling all the time. Huh? What?
Well, I'm going to write it down and come back to it.
Okay. Trying to figure, I can't wait till the next season because they do all types of humans. All types, men, women, gay, straight, Republican, Democrat in this country. I love them. I've tried to watch different iterations. I watched the very first way back in the day when it had Carson and Jay and Tom. And I'm going to remember all of them. Anyways, the very first iteration of Queer Eye for the Straight Guy. And then
Carson.
Huh? Who?
Did you say Carson?
Yeah. Carson Keeley, something.
Carson Kressley.
Yes.
He's on RuPaul's Drag Race. He's one of the judges. Who knew?
Yeah, he was the fashion guy on the first iteration of Queer Eye for the Street Guy. Now it's just Queer Eye. But I watched like other countries. Like I watched the German one just because I like to watch German stuff. It's just, I don't know. I just like the group.
Yeah, there's definitely, there are different cultural. It's taken me a while. I almost didn't go back to the French and Spanish ones because I stopped my subscription and I was only halfway through, and then I started my subscription again and I was like, will I go back?
Yeah.
Didn't like the Italian one. It's just different. Interestingly, the Belgian one, which I've only just started watching, I'm sorry, it's back to me. The Belgian one, which I've only just started watching, which is just 100% Aryan white male, if you know what I mean. I mean, they're all gay, but they're so white and they're, all very beautiful, actually, very good looking men as well as beautiful women, which usually there's some conflict there. But do you know what? They are the nicest queens. I think that I've just warmed to all of them. But it was so obvious when I started watching it because there was not a single anything other than a completely blonde white male. I lie. I think there was one darker skin, slightly. In the Belgian ones, there's one, but it was just so obvious that the sort of just the genetic and not genetic, ethnic background in that. But they are actually, I think, the nicest queens of all the programs I've watched. They're just anyway. There. Sorry, back to yes.
And that's why I really like Queer, because everybody that they bring on the show, they actually call the hero. So the hero of the week, and then they work through the different facets of what each person brings to the party, and they try to understand what's really going on. And they have oh gosh, Brown. Why can't I think? Oh, Karamo. I'm like, oh, I could see his name, but I couldn't like say it. Is it so Karamo? Like, there's always this role where there was a first iteration and this iteration of like this culture, and they still, I think they might have, as of last season, still called Karamo culture. But really, what Karamo's brought to the party is the ability to talk through what is actually happening with the human being, to see if you can't peel back some of the layers or get them in touch with a part of themselves that they left behind or are suppressing. And I think it'd be some of the most transformative conversations. I wish they would do more of that.
Is that a very good looking person of color? Are you allowed to say black man now? I don't know. Are you allowed to say black?
I don't know. I don't
This
know.
person of
This is
color
part of
doesn't-
white privilege that I don't know. I don't know.
Oh,
I try to like,
it.
get to. I want to honor.
I think he's Negro cut. If he certainly looks Negro and he's very good looking, I think I know who you mean.
Yeah, that's him. That's him. Because let's see, Tan is English, Pakistani, right?
Mhm.
And then Bobby's from the South. Who am I missing? JVN is from Indiana, right? No, Illinois, Midwestern US. Who am I missing? Tan Karamo, Bobby. I'm missing somebody. Who am I? Oh shoot, the cook. Oh crap, no, I can't think of his name. He's Canadian, French Canadian, but I can't think of his name. And I have his cookbooks.
Yes, I remember because I watched it. You told me about it, and I watched it, and they were going into why do you feel this way? Where does this come from? And yeah,
He just got married.
Yeah, isn't it interesting how when you watch stuff like that and you look actually at the essence and the root of what is being said, and we're all teaching the same things. It's actually all about understanding that you were hurt, rightly or wrongly, nobody's to blame, but these things happen, and it's about acknowledging that pain, honoring it, and accepting it. And that's really the root of all the healing that happens in all its different forms.
Yeah.
But it's just a way of bringing it to light, if you like.
Yeah, I just remembered his name, Anthony. Sorry.
Oh my goodness.
Queer Eye fans and Queer Eye people yourselves, as far as like the cast members, I'm so sorry, I can't remember everybody's name in the moment. Anyway, I love you all.
I don't think they're going to mind. I'll put an apology in the notes.
Yeah.
So now I was going to. Let's see, now I forgot.
Back to a topic. Or are you good?
Well, we were going to go. I'd like to. I might have a look at that one about sugar that you said. But Xavier and his sugar podcast.
What?
Guy with the long hair and the beard, and you said he does a podcast.
Oh, Getting Curious. Yeah, with Jonathan Van Ness. Yeah.
Yeah, so something about the sugar, but I can't remember what I was going to say about it. But I might actually look that up. Have you listened to that podcast?
That I've listened to it, and that actual episode is on the Netflix series of his called Getting Curious. So where he talks a little bit more about the nutrition and sugar. Yeah.
Okay. So many things to talk about. Where do you want to go next then?
Yeah, I was just going to go like this whole sense of play that you're doing, because that's been a theme in my in my Instagram feed, as well as coming up with Lucas and coming up with clients and stuff, is just this whole sense of play. I had somebody send me this, forward me this post about this research that's been done that bees actually play with, they did this experiment with little wooden balls, and the bees would play with them. No one told them to do so. I mean, no one, meaning humans, didn't tell them to do so, which I'm going to digress for just a second, because I just heard an interview on this podcast called On Being with Krista Tippett. And she was talking to somebody else, but she referenced Ruth Kimmerer Wall. Is that her name? Ruth Wall Kimmerer. She wrote Braiding Sweetgrass. And she's a botanist. And she said, all this research that humans do to try to prove that we are that we're like the highest evolved species on the planet. And every time we do this research, it always shows the inverse. So I
I
thought it
didn't
was
know,
funny that, huh?
I didn't know humans were trying to prove that. I thought they just assumed that we were.
Well, we do assume it, and then we try to prove it, and then we're not, denied. But anyways, but bees play with little, and the younger bees play more than the older bees, but bees play. And then then after I read that, then I saw this squirrel playing with something too, and I don't even remember what it was playing, but it was just all about having fun and playing. Oh, and that we learned through play and that's the other thing, because I've been reading Gabor Mate's latest book, The Myth of Normal, which I love. And then I just was watching a video of his, and he talks a lot about how we don't allow, particularly in Western culture, we don't allow for play. But like Finland, kids don't even, when they go to school, they don't start cracking books until like they're 8 or something like that, because they let them stay outside, they let them play, they encourage play, because that's how the brain develops, is through play. So that was my big whole point.
Well, it's the same as like playing with animals is teaching them to hunt, like with cats and stuff like that. And it's actually about learning all these skills in a safe environment.
Yeah.
And learning, and also I think with kittens and that, like if they bite too hard, they'll get a smack, and they learn about, how the social interaction, how it works, how much is acceptable, how there's all of that goes on. And I didn't realize that actually as late as Victorian times adults used to play, and then it all stopped. Well, rich adults, obviously, because younger kids were in the workhouse, but they used to play croquet, and they used to go out on a promenade in the evenings, and there would be games and activities, and that was part of life, was this playing. And then it all, obviously not for the poorer people, but
Wow.
that's all stopped.
And I think about this in a bigger sense of this push over the last several hundred years to disconnect ourselves from our true nature, from nature, all of this. And I keep looking at this idea of there's the patriarchy, right? And like suppressing the divine feminine, and so play to me would be even more like on the divine feminine part, possibly. I don't know, I'd have to look this up, but there's always been this thing of suppressing the divine feminine, so that that's why we're out of balance and all this disconnection. So I'll just leave that there, because there's a whole other area we could go, and we don't have to do that today. But here in the United States, there's several states that are putting bans in place against drag queens.
I saw that.
Which is just mind-boggling to me, because first of all, I don't understand why we have to be so mean. Why are we so mean to everybody that's any different? It doesn't make any sense.
Even,
and these are kids that need help with reading. So if it helps, why not just, and who cares?
hang on, what's it got to do with kids?
Usually, well, one of the things that is an impetus for these bans is that there have been programs at libraries, I think, where drag queens will read to kids.
Right.
So it's a performance, it's storytelling. It's, who cares how they're dressed? I don't understand. And so then when they're going to do this, then like armed gunmen show up so that kids can't get in, and then other armed gunmen from the other side of the fence show up to let the kids in. I mean, you don't think that causes trauma on all across, but it's trauma being exposed, but it's also trauma. The whole thing's a mess. And I'm like, just let it be. But it's this suppression still, sorry, of play and divine feminine and being who you are. Go ahead. Sorry, I'll shut up now.
No, I was going to say, because I, as you know, I don't follow anybody on anything apart from whoever it was that I followed the last time we spoke. But Trinity K. Bonet is a US drag queen, and she was actually, before I discovered Belgium and Sverige, which I think is Sweden, I was watching the All Stars, which is people who have been on Drag Race, and then they go back as semi-celebrities at that point, and then they compete in a sort of slightly different way. It's more elevated. And Trinity K. Bonet, I had a look at him. He's actually quite nice as a man, I'll be honest. It's part of the reason I went to have a look. He was actually in the UK doing an extremely funny video about sandwiches. Clearly you don't have the same sandwiches as us. So he was eating Tesco sandwiches or something and commentating on them and going, what the fuck is this? But
yeah, I don't think we have the same sandwiches, but anyway.
I think it was tuna and sweet corn.
Oh,
yeah, lovely. No, it is lovely. There was something else that he was like, I don't even want to put this in his mouth, and he was like, actually, that's okay. But there was something else. Anyway, I saw on his page that there are X number of states in the US that are now making it illegal for a drag queen to perform other than in like an adult venue or within so many meters of a school. But what I want to ask what's driving this, but I assume it's the far right,
totally,
right?
Totally.
So it's a religious thing, presumably.
Well, yeah. I mean, they say it's religious, and I laugh. I laugh because if they really understood the true teachings of the religion that they profess, they would know that they were not on the right path. Not that there's anything wrong. Oh my God.
No, but I suppose these are the people that want conversion therapy, presumably.
I'm guessing. Yeah. Oh my God, it's so funny. Okay, can I tell you this? So then there.
No, I was going to tell you after you. Yes.
Okay, one of the satirists that I follow, John Oliver, who has a show on HBO, he was talking about in Tennessee they put one of these laws in place, but the lieutenant governor follows many, many drag queens on Instagram and comments positively on all of their various pictures. So it's just like why would you? And so they were trying to add the different journalists, they showed interviews with them. Their journalists are asking, so why are you're obviously in favor of these human beings and what they do, and you actually enjoy it and you think you compliment them. So why are you making it difficult for them to be who they are? And of course, he can't see the duality.
Or he's pandering to outside pressure.
Possibly. Probably money. There's probably money involved. He's probably scared of his own feelings about it. So why not put a law in place?
Well, it's catching, Julie. You have to be careful. What was really interesting, I started listening to Abraham again because I finally worked out, although not very successfully, and I said this last week, so it shows it's been a week since I got back to it, but I've been listening to all the Abraham downloads that I've missed for the last 18 months because I couldn't work out how to get them on my friggin' iMusic. What a fucking bring back iTunes. I've only just got my head around it, and now you can't get iTunes on a Mac. You have to use iMusic, which does it all for you, which is fine if it's stuff podcasts, all that works seamlessly, but if it's stuff you have that you're trying to get back, anyway, done, mostly, it sort of worked. I had to call support. Who knew I'd been paying for support for 3 years? There we go. And one of them was about, so some guy had said what part of me wanted to shoot him because it was there's always this element of virtue signaling, isn't it? And Abraham had actually said that a lot of people write in. I think during COVID, people would write in rather than, because there weren't any live events, they'd write in questions and then they would go through them. This is Abraham Hicks, by the way. But this was somebody who had said, what advice would you give to people working with children with, I think it was ADHD rather than autism. No, it was autism. Actually, it was autism. And then what advice would you give to parents? And what Abraham had said was, and there was this huge applause to it. And I just thought, fuck off. Like, everybody's got their issues. Don't make it into a thing, right? It's just a question. And what Abraham was saying was basically, and I think I've mentioned this vaguely before, but it's worth remembering, people have asked Abraham before, like, well, if we come here with a life plan, why would you choose to come and be disabled? Why would you choose to come and be a vegetable or whatever? And the answer was, well, you are looking for a different life experience. Like, this to us is incomprehensible, but to a soul who is, and this is what's mind-boggling, coming here in order to experience all the things that we think are absolutely shocking and horrible. Oh my God, this is the worst thing that's ever happened to me in my life. We sat up there and went, what can we fuck up this time? This is going to be great. Let's get ready for this ride. This is the fun, apparently, of living. And they had used this example of being severely mentally disabled or physically disabled. is that society cannot put the same expectations on you. So many of us that try and break out of societal pressures end up conforming and ending up, as you and I did, in a mess, because it's not what we want to do, and we aren't able for whatever reason, or don't see a way out. If you are disabled or severely disabled, that option's not open to you. So society has to adapt to you in some way, because you can't be changed. And that's what she said about people with autism. It's like, she said, well, actually look at them and admire and sort of, well, admire the fact that they have come in a form that says, I will not conform to you. You will have to conform to me. And then she said, think of it this way as well. This is true also of people who come gay, bisexual, all of these, that what they are saying is, I am coming in a different form and you will not be able to change me. You can't make me. So the rest of us, we've sort of been muscled into that. So that's really interesting, that actually people who come to choose a difficult life, if you like, their soul has said, well, I'm going to come in a form that eventually, because if you think, well, this is what so much of Drag Race is about, even if they do conform, they'll get to a point, and unfortunately society is very much opening up, but there are still people coming out in their 50s and 60s because their generations didn't allow it. But to think of that soul, and that just shows the power of your soul, that you can be knuckled down for 50 years and eventually your soul goes, fuck it, I'm gonna be who I'm gonna be. And that's actually I just, again, that really just warmed my heart to think, you know, okay, these to us is really sad and terrifying to think of people in that situation. But if you look at the big picture, at the evolution of how irrepressible the soul is, that you'll go through all of this and eventually you'll go, actually, do you know what, I don't fucking care, I'm gonna be who I'm gonna be, and here I am. And it's like, wow, this is what life's all about. So that it was just really good to hear that specifically, especially with all my falling in love with RuPaul all over again and all that.
Yeah, well, as we talked even too, like this time in the evolution of our souls, our planet, whatever, all the things, in this period of ascension, these souls are really the pointy end of the spear to move us forward. So to bring forth these issues that we have to actually address in order for humanity as a whole to evolve. It's fascinating, these conversations around sexual fluidity or sexual identity or gender identity or color, people, you know, skin color, skin tone differences, able body, what, all the things. It's just like, these are conversations we should have been having a long time ago. And astrologically, we're in the time where we're starting to have them. Like 200 years ago, you know, for us is when the declaration of the Revolutionary War, all that stuff happened. And now we're running into the same type of astrological planet alignment that's the same kind of energy. And so we're starting to really feel
that energy is what?
As like 200 years ago, when there was a lot of like the United States was brought together, granted, there was a lot of trauma created clearly with African Americans and indigenous people, but all that energy around an idea of a birth of something new, something that could be equal for all, although it wasn't written that way. But do you know what I'm saying? Like there's a really good...
Sorry, are you saying it's the good energy or the bad, the energy of oppression or the energy of change?
The energy of change.
Oh, excellent. So why is, I'm not trying to put you on the spot, Julie, but what the fuck are you guys doing banning drag queens now in the 20th century?
It's part of it. I know, it's really stupid. I'm not proud of this. It's also like, if we look at the person that was in the big house of white before, that before our current one, if you will, but it was all about bringing up all of that stuff so that we can all see it and expose it and deal with it and move it into the light. That's what a lot of this, all of it, from what I'm understanding, is.
See, I think I've said this before, and I'm not holding you personally responsible, but I've always looked up to the United States in that sense, and, you know, having worked for an American company and, you know, as a woman, benefited from that tremendously, probably more so than had I worked for a British company, and that I never felt prejudiced against because I was a woman, and then, you know, it was expected that women, and all of that. And, you know, in so many ways, you're so forward thinking that it's a real shock to me to discover there is this pious,
underbelly.
right wing. You know, I
They,
don't even mind. Do you know what? I don't even mind people that go away and fucking pickle eggs for 100 years or whatever it is they want to do. You know, I can sort of get sucked into that mentality. There is a bit of me that goes, well, the world's all going to shit. I do want to go away and pickle cabbage for 100, you know, and make sure I've got enough to eat. For, you know, I can, you know, and there is a attraction to me to be completely self-sufficient, so the rest of the world can fuck itself and whatever happens to me. But the sort of the anti-abortion and the, you know, anti-drag queen, you're like, just mind your own fucking business, who gives a shit? Like,
no,
nothing
it's this,
better to do.
yeah, it I have to take deep breaths, right? Because it's so, oh, so frustrating. However, I do feel like because change is moving, those that have been in control are holding on even tighter and trying to lock it down so the change can't happen. But you can't stop this. There's
And
no
maybe
stopping this.
this has to come to the light, as you say, for other people to go, oh my God, there are people who still think like that.
Yeah. I mean, I even think it to the point that we have suppressed play. We have overloaded people. I can only talk about it in my country, right? But we have overloaded people with consumerism, bills to pay, gotta have the stuff. In order to do that, I got to have 3 jobs. I can't provide healthcare. I can't provide daycare. I can't, all these things to keep people. There's this movie, I may have referenced this before, City of Joy with Patrick Swayze, where he goes and works in a Calcutta slum for however long. And he goes to the slum landlord, and the slum landlord takes a chicken and puts a sandbag on its neck so that the chicken just sits there like this and can't move. That is what we have done to human beings, particularly in this country, so that we can't see all the things that need to be right. And it is our actual human nature that we actually want to connect, we want to play, we want to do all these things, but we've just been so shackled that we can't even help one another. And that's what's starting to loosen. And that's also why you see the tightening, because, oh my God, people are so afraid, which is also this shift from fear to love. It's this whole thing. It's fascinating to watch. It's also hard to be human right now.
It is. And I think because, you know, a lot of us are awareness of what happens in other parts of the world. We feel that it's, you know, that we're so privileged, we're so this, we're so that. And in many ways we are, but I also feel that actually so many of our choices, we are not as powerless as we appear, but we feel completely powerless. And I watched a very good thing on TikTok about a woman who just summarized it in a way that I can't possibly. And it's sort of like, you know, we try so hard, we go to university, we get the job, we do this. And yes, we're so privileged, but the reality is our lives are fucking miserable. And from a very young age, I used to say, well, it's not that I want to go and live in a ditch, but you know, there are elements of living a life of. When I talk about poverty, I don't mean working in a workhouse and drinking out drains. I mean more living in Africa, where you walk for water, but you get your water, and then you work in a field all day to grow your food and take care of your animals, and that actually appealed to me more, because you are sort of, you're living your life in order to survive, as opposed to, you know, we get the job and then we get a house, and then we have all these things, and then you have to, your job gets bigger, so you get bigger stuff, and then you need more money to keep the bigger stuff going. And I don't believe I ever, you know, yes, it may look from the outside like I had a comfortable life, but I can tell you it wasn't. I longed to have none of these things.
Yeah.
I don't want them.
Yeah.
And it's a trap. It's a trap. You know, this so-called freedom is not. Because it's actually very difficult in this environment, in this country anyway, to go, well, actually, do you know what? I'm not going to pay taxes and this, because I don't need a car and I don't want to go on the roads, and I don't, do you know what I mean? It's very hard to extract yourself from the cost of living in society.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's probably
No,
but...
I'll say one, I'll say one more point, then I'll stop. But looking at it like cosmically, intuitively, I would even say that this disconnect, unhappiness, dis-ease, if you will, that we are experiencing, I would say is even the manifestation of treating others poorly for centuries. if we think about it in terms of, in this country, Indigenous people and people of color, what we have done is it's like we're reaping what we sowed. We created so much discomfort and so much pain for that. Like we had to experience it as well. And I was listening to this other podcast yesterday, Ezra Klein, and they were talking about the plight of boys and men in particularly Western culture, but the author's actually British, but men and boys feel so disconnected. They feel so alone. They're not having friends. They're actually doing worse in school than they've done before. And that's this shift of making sure that we can do things to help women, but we've neglected, as we've raised women, we've neglected what boys actually need. And that too is, to me, as I was listening to it, I'm like, oh, if you think about all these centuries of suppressing the divine feminine, when you didn't have that balance, the divine masculine paid for it too. And so now that this balance is trying to right itself, there's some exposure of what actually the divine masculine needs and brings to the table that we've also ignored. And so we have to look at the whole entire thing in order to really integrate with our soul's desire, true nature, honoring our integration with the earth, all this type of stuff. I just think it's interesting. We can't look at one thing as a silo. We have to look at the full entire
I agree with
stuff.
that.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
And until we do, we're gonna continually perpetuate this pain.
I certainly agree with that. I'm not sure about the one before. I'm gonna have to think about that from a terms of law of attraction, because I don't believe the world punishes.
No, I don't think it's punishing. I think it's bringing to light to show a inequity, an area where light hasn't been shown, if that makes sense. If I put it in those terms, maybe that helps. I don't mean to make it about punishment. It's just, if you've gone so far being lopsided at some point, and when you try to right yourself, you're out of balance. And I think that's what we just have to watch the balance overall.
But the whole thing, I mean, actually the epitome, we should stop because it's been ages.
Yeah.
I guess the whole thing about balance is actually acceptance. Like, if we just accept, then you know, there's none of this pushing and shoving, and balancing needs to be done. If you're just like, do you know what, whatever you bring to the table, that's fine. Whatever your piece of pie is, Julie,
exactly,
bring it in.
Yes, all the colors of the rainbow, everything. I mean, the world is so much more colorful than like binary or white or whatever it may be. And that's the part that I'm like, oh, look, if everybody's at the table, look what the solutions to things could be. But that's not where we're heading there. We're heading there. It's just, God, I want so much of this to happen in my lifetime. I'm not certain it will, but
it might, you never know. There are changes.
I'm adding to the positivity,
Yeah.
Kate, as are you,
Absolutely.
with your fabulous makeup. Yeah. You just have to keep playing. I love it.
Wait till my glasses arrive. I'm gonna have to buy some drag queen eyelashes.
You've now inspired me though on the whole makeup, because okay, so like in my headshot, I don't wear glasses on my website because I would, however, when I tried to get, this was a year ago, I got contacts again because I thought, okay, I'm going to do this and I won't. But then I had to do a webinar for our fabulous teacher, Danielle McKinnon, with the fabulous Phoebe Hoffman. And I couldn't see. So I couldn't operate any of the Zoom stuff. And I'm just like, okay, screw it. So, my headshot, no glasses, but here I can't.
That's the bit with, I mean, that's the other thing. These drag queens, they put in contact lenses of different colors, and that is absolutely fucking amazing. The difference that you can do. You just pop in your bright green eyes, or you pop in, some of them wear red eyes or white eyes. But even that, I mean, yeah, I'm not sure, but you can learn to do it, Julie, if the incentive is there.
I can do it. It's just I have dry eyes, so the contact lenses get really, it feels like little like pellets in my eye. It's just super uncomfortable.
Get used to it.
Well, I don't know. I used to wear contacts all the time when I was younger, but then I got dry eye and I can't. It's so uncomfortable. And I'm just like, at this point, I'm like, if it's not comfortable, I'm not doing it.
Well, this is it. That's why I've stopped bothering with makeup. But I just thought I'd buy some. I mean, it cost me a tenner to buy, I think, 6 eyeliners, and another tenner for the glasses, which haven't arrived yet. I put it on. I've got this beautiful black obsidian kohl eyeliner, and I put it on. I'm like, I just honestly, I look like someone just got charcoal. And I'm like, what? I don't understand. Anyway, we should stop, Julie.
Yep. So that was all. That was fun. That was a fun playtime. We got
It was fun.
serious. We did some, but play can lead to serious stuff and help, play with it.
Play. There is actually so much more I want to talk to you about, but we can chat afterwards and save it up for next week. So
Okay.
thank you very much, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please let us know if there are any other subjects you'd like us to address. You can follow us here on YouTube. You can subscribe down here and you'll get notified of new events, new episodes. We try and do an episode every week. You can follow us on Facebook and on Instagram. And as I said, please comment if there's anything you'd like us to talk about, or anything else. So I'm Kate Foggo. This is Julie Hurt, and together we are making light to humans being.